listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is?
I know.
Anybody? Julie. Hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Oh, you magnificent bastard, I read your book.
I drink your milkshake.
How dare you?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain. Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain. Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
Captain.
No, not yet. Don't pass out on me yet. Of course you realize
This means war.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I am all out of bubblegum. Today is Thursday. It is July 16th, the year of our Lord 2020. And have we got a great show for you? I can't wait. I love this song. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, always spelled with a K, a mere 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the Bill Mill, the belly of the beast, the Capitol building in downtown Sacramento at 10th and L Streets, where late at night you can hear the death of common sense and its concomitant wail as it wafts from that petrifying edifice. And late at night, when I exit the plush, resplendent, sumptuous, palatial, and effulgently bulbous SHR Media Network studios, I'll be smelling the odoriferous stench of sulfur, brimstone, and evil emanating from that mentally destitute column structure aforementioned. What you are about to hear for the next 2 hours consists of my opinion and no one else's. It's 2020. I am done with compromise and bipartisanship. This is the new age of modern political warfare. And make no mistake, we are at war. The leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots all want you dead, or at minimum, they want you jobless, bankrupt, bereft of a future, and quivering in the fetal position under your desk, waiting for your local leftist governors and mayors to bestow a modicum of freedom upon you in dribs and drabs when it pleases them, always to be taken away again. And then, if you're good, they may sell your freedoms back to you. Folks, if we lose freedom here in the United States of America, where the hell else are we going to find it around the nation? Hell, the nation? Where are we going to find it around the planet? So everybody, thank you for being with me tonight. Mike is in chat. Sergeant Booker is in chat. Fred's in chat. One viewer is in chat. I want to remind everybody I am on Facebook suspension. Facebook hates me. So I'm on suspension for a month. Now the Facebook is running. I found a way to make it run. So just understand you can watch on Facebook, but I'm not there and I can't see it. So if you're expecting me to be able to comment back and forth in the chat room, that can't happen because I am persona non grata with Facebook. If you want to be in the other chat room that I can see, where everybody seems at this point to enjoy my presence, go to shrmedia.com. shrmedia.com. You can be in the chat room right there. And I would love to have as many people come over as possible. So Facebook is running. YouTube is running tonight because somebody finally figured out that in order for people to hear it in the public, you have to just click that little drop-down box that says public. And I had it on private. So, my bad, my mistake. For the first hour, we're going to have a person, and I have the distinct pleasure of speaking to LILY Tang Williams. She is a great American that I met at 2 separate Freedom Fest conferences in Las Vegas when she was campaigning in Colorado for the U.S. Senate as a libertarian. That's a story in and of itself. Well, we interviewed her a bunch of times at the 2016 Freedom Fest, and she stopped by the booth to chat, and we took some photos and whatnot. And I also met Lily again at the 2017 Freedom Fest in July, and she once again dropped by the booth. We had some chats and whatnot. Lily gives great hugs, by the way. LILY Tang Williams, has an incredible story, an amazing story. She told it once on my show 3 years ago on November 30th of 2017. Okay, since then, a ton of things have changed. Obviously, in 3 years, almost everything has changed. Every political narrative has changed. The Democrat Party has changed. Leftist, Democrat, Antifa, anarchist, socialist, BLM, and communist elements have already destroyed many portions of most every, if not every, Democrat led urban rat cage in the United States of America today. And so I wanted to have her back on the show exactly for those reasons and these additional salient reasons as well. Primarily, since then, my audience has increased exponentially, thousands now. The other is, now more than ever, Americans need to know what communism looks like, what it smells like, and how it really operates. Because communism is exactly what leftists and Democrats want to force on America, should they win power in the White House and the Senate. Come November, make absolutely no mistake. I could go into her background, her CV, because she clearly has a really remarkable one. But instead, I'd rather have her do that because her background is the story itself. Her what she experienced is the story tonight. So I'd like to welcome LILY Tang Williams to the show again for the second time because her story, I bet the bulk of my audience didn't hear it in 2017, and I thank goodness that she is here tonight. LILY Tang Williams, thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
We met at the Freedom Fest, and the Freedom Fest is where a bunch of people who are interested in freedom and liberty, generally libertarians, but anybody that believes in freedom and liberty can come there and listen to tons of speakers, interact with tons of other people, and it's a great place to go. This year, because of obvious reasons, it wasn't held, and they tried to hold it as much as they possibly could. So Lily told me this story in Freedom Fest. Then I wanted to get her on the show in 2017, and I wanted to get her back because I realized that more than just about anybody else, she knows the real value of freedom, and not in some arbitrary academic textbook arm's length fashion that the leftists experience. So Lily, now more than ever, I think folks need to benefit from hearing your story of China and America. Like I said in promos and whatnot, it is a cautionary tale. It is a real story involving real people, real consequences, real repression, real agony, real tyranny, and you lived it personally. So let's start at the start. You were born in Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province in western China. LILY Tang Williams, take it away.
Well, thanks, Mark. Since we said goodbye in 2017, I have not really stopped to promote freedom, advocate for more liberty. The very exciting things I have been doing for past 3 years, actually, with my sponsor's help, which is Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. They had sent me to all over the country to educate middle school, high school, and some college students about what it's like to really live under a communist regime, which most China was, then later socialist regime, which was other leaders claimed China to be after Mao's death. So I went through all that. And I tell people this story, why I choose to come to America, because I thought, the Constitution and rights of liberties of citizens are guaranteed by our founding fathers' document. The Declaration of Independence brought me to this country, and the constitutional rights will be there for me forever. But I got scared because seems like lots of people today don't understand those documents, and the politicians don't stick to it, and lots of our kids not educated with them, and now they might even think our founding fathers are a whole bunch of racists. So now that the cancel culture, American cultural revolution is happening, I got more scared. I feel like I have not gone enough places, especially the main media, to share my stories, to talk to people about how awfully that is to live under those systems. I really don't want to happen to my children and the future grandchildren, in this country. So to give people a summary of my story, I was born right before 2 years of Cultural Revolution under Mao. No choice. Parents, working class, red class, and working for government state enterprises 6 days a week, and live on food rationing coupons. Yes, under all those regimes, the economy really sucks. You don't have enough food to eat, so you have to live on food rationing coupons. You were a hungry child all the time, but you're supposed to be grateful because you are not starving to death. So we're supposed to say kumbaya to our great leader Mao and the Communist Party. And so how we live is basically, it is a community housing free by my dad's state factories, but it was 8 families share one core yard and 1 bathroom, 1 water faucet. And people have no idea what our bathroom is like. I would tell students when their eyes were just wide open, it's like it's one big ground in the hole for you to go to the bathroom. Yeah. 2 breaks over. And divided it by half. Half for man, half for woman. You can hear each other. You can even have chats to each other if you want. There's no privacy. And the stinky, once every 2 weeks, and a peasant coming to dig them out, take to the field, and 1 water faucet. So if water runs out, bad luck. You cannot clean, you cannot cook. And then we have, of course, the outdoor kitchens, no indoor plumbing, and that's what our community housing is. The most interesting is that you would think under communism everything's for free, like child care, schools. Right. No, my parents actually could not afford the child care. They begged me to stay home at the age of 6 to babysit my infant brother at 1 year old, because they had to pay to the state factory daycare center. They did not have the money. So they basically asked, I was supposed to go to school to start my school, but because they put me back for 1 year to do family obligations to babysit because they couldn't afford it. I was such a motivated student when I could go to school 1 year later. And, that's, I just want people to know, by the time we go to school, you think a school is free? No, you have to pay tuition and books. And my parents always get into debt to pay for our tuition and books. And there's no school bus. Normally we walk to neighborhood schools. But later, if you go to further high school, you have to take bus yourself. Or your parents today, rich parents, you drive their kids. They still don't have school bus today. As the second largest economy now in the world, as they brag about it. That's how they treat their people and treat their kids. Hey, you can come to school, we indoctrinate you and teach you, but sorry, no bus, You just have to figure out yourself. So that's how I grew up, just like that. Food rationing coupons, poverty, hungry, political, social chaos. But I go to school, long live Chiang Mao, long live Communist Party every day, chanting, holding my little red mouse quotation book. Imagine you do that for 5 straight years. Can you still think freely, have independent thought, challenge authority? No, I had no idea what the world is like outside of China. I had no idea other people are a lot better off, including Taiwanese people, than us. I had no idea. My God, my Jesus, Chairman Mao was not a God. He was just a human being. But we were worship him every day. And we write diaries to confess to him. And we even talk to him, in school. And when you wake up in the morning, you're supposed to do self-confess. Like, dear Chairman Mao, I'm sorry. I thought about something was not correct, and I apologize. And then in your diaries, you write about who said what in your neighbors. Some even turn family members against each other, so you cannot trust anybody. Then in school, we do red dance, which is Mao's dance. We sing red songs, which is Mao speaking opera or other red songs. All the beautiful music did not even exist anymore. And Taiwan had a little shortwave radio, so we couldn't listen to this famous stars, like Mandarin love songs. Guess what? It was illegal to listen to her song at night because it was rotten music, banned. You have no idea how we were treated as almost like a non-human beings. We should not even talk about love. We were banned from dating, Mark. Imagine you were like a little school kid in the middle school. You had a crush on another boy. I did. Not supposed to say anything. Not supposed to date. Or you get into deep, deep trouble. You'll be denounced, publicly shamed. And in that awful society, you cannot imagine, really. And our kids today, when I go to school, tell them, they cannot imagine, oh, you couldn't date? You couldn't even lay your hair down? You could not wear the colorful clothes you wanted to wear? Yeah, that's true. I never saw it.
But see, that's so wrong. Of all those things, they have to be free. I'm told by leftists day and night that all of these things will be given to us, and they're free. And wait, LILY Tang Williams? It's oh my gosh, you're saying it's wrong?
It's a promise. Mao promised Chinese people to say, hey, if we get rid of landowners, you will have land. Yes, lots of peasants did a revolution with Mao, got the land for a couple of years, and later started to become all people's communes. Then the state took the land back. So they didn't have land long at all, but then they promised, we're going to have a communism, ideal, utopian. Everybody will be equal, everybody will have prosperity, will have this or that, and workers rule. It's all lies, and utopians never can. Instead, all the parents who fought for Mao, who fight for the new China, lots of them starved to death during his Great Leap Forward campaign for 3 years, 1959 to 1961. 45 million people in China, most peasants, lots of them in my home Sichuan province, died under starvation because of Mao's central planning economical policies.
Okay.
And nobody could dare tell him the truth when people start dying because you were losing jobs. Think about it. If you have the one-party control, your position is totally not elected, it's appointed by your party leader. How do you get a promotion? It's by telling the top leaders all the good news. So they cover up. When you talk about cover-up of Communist Party today on COVID-19, come on, study Chinese history. They have been cover up truth since before founding of New China, 1949. So you can never trust them. If they always have one-party dictatorship, no democratic elections, and no grievance procedures, no rule of law. They will always lie. They don't really care about people's lives. I read this book called The Private Life of Chairman Mao. He's a private doctor, talk about himself. He used to be my God, right? I would talk to him, my tears will come out. I had a religious experience with Mao. That makes me very, very critical thinker today because I just can never go through that again. And it doesn't matter what leader. But back then, he was immortal, 10,000 years, long-lived 10,000 years, another 10,000 years. So when Mao was described by his doctor, he had no compassion. When people crying in front of him, tried to kiss his hand, ask him to save the peasant's family, one mother was crying, and his face had no expressions, no sympathies. He's more like a psychopath, sociopath, or something like that. But we did not know. That kind of system will empower hungry people for power, climb to the top, and use some foreign ideology like a Karl Marxism, communism, to rule over 1.2 billion Chinese, now 1.4 billion Chinese. And they still cannot wake up because the one-party dictatorship totally controls speech, press, TV, social media, and even more than half of the companies and business. People think, oh, China is a lot better now. They're never colonized country, and they have a second biggest economy. I wonder how much of that number is true. But today, people can be millionaire, but have no political freedom. And if you say something anti-government, you can go to prison, you can lose your assets, you get all your properties confiscated overnight. They're not just do that to Chinese, they're doing that to foreigners too. Like this Canadian Chinese in Beijing recently got arrested. She was Canadian Chinese, but she was in Beijing, and she was very wealthy, multi-million-dollar assets. She was practicing this spiritual Falun Gong, and they arrest her, put in her jail 8 years for a foreign passport holder citizen. But hey, once you're Chinese, you're always a Chinese. And now look at their security law for Hong Kong. They can arrest anybody who goes to Hong Kong. Doesn't matter. I'm an American citizen. You're an American citizen. If you go to Hong Kong, violate the Chinese security law in Hong Kong, they can arrest you. I just don't understand why lots of media don't keep talking about it. Lots of people still think about China is rich. We need to do business with them. We need to this, that. And it just, I'm just screaming out of my lungs every day to say, come on, Americans, we don't want to go down that path. We don't want to trust them. We need to educate our children's rights. We don't want communism, socialism glorified at all. We need to keep our country as a free country intended for, as our founding fathers, a constitutional republic.
LILY Tang Williams. Folks, I've got LILY Tang Williams on tonight. She was with me originally back in 2017. I met her at Freedom Fest, a convention of libertarians, and I am a part libertarian, little L libertarian, and a registered independent. She's a fabulous woman. I heard her tale. She told it in 2017, and it's even more necessary and relevant today and tonight. I don't know if you caught what she said, essentially. And Lily, you correct me if I'm wrong. No one knows this because no one is taught this. 45 million Chinese died of starvation. And did I get the years right, Lily? Between 1959 and 1961?
Correct. That's called the Great Famine. That's a famous Great Famine. But the Chinese people even don't know that today because we were told it was 3 years natural disasters. It was flooding. It was drought. Never blamed Mao and his failed central planning policies. He's failed one campaign after another campaign and just non-stop. He's doing political struggles, movement non-stop. 3 anti, 5 anti, later Great Cultural Revolution, anti-rightist movement. So the famine was caused by his great leap forward in the 50s because he wanted China's agriculture production to become very successful and increase tenfold because they were under Soviet pressure to produce skill, to produce food, to catch up with them because Mao had some issue with the Soviet Union leaders at that time. So because he was like a big leader doing this campaign, doing these policies, and when he failed because the food was growing really close together. And then they all died. But nobody could dare tell him the truth. And they still have to turn their food over to the cities, to the government. And by the time, parents turn over to the government, they had nothing left for themselves to eat. And because the Chinese household system, I don't know if you heard about that, called the hukou, the household registration system did not even allow the peasants who were starving to go to beg from one village to another village because they were supposed to tie down by their household registration. Where you live there, you have the permission to go to another place. There was no freedom of labor movement or people's movement. You are supposed to tie to your household registration by your local police station. So by the time they were hungry, they wanted to go beg, they could not even go to another place to beg for food. They died. And they start to eat each other's children's dead bodies. Lots of kids, lots of teachers who teach social studies never knew horror stories like that. So that's why I go to school. I wake them up. I make their eyes, their light bulbs came out. I have to tell you, children were scared after they heard my 1-hour presentation with old pictures because they never learned such things in their schools. Even some class struggle stories, our teachers did not know. How do teachers teach our kids if our teachers' trainings were not based on lots of true history, horror stories? So I don't know what is the curriculum. You have to blame today's country, cultural issues, all this leftist movement to our educational system.
Yes.
Educational system is a total reformed. And we cannot have government constantly control the education curriculum.
It's because of the ability of China to keep control of all communications, to keep people localized, to keep watch on everything that they do. There was no communication. Education was controlled by the state itself. Only state-approved information was transmitted to children, which is why the Chinese were primarily isolated completely and weren't taught, obviously, that 45 million Chinese died of starvation only. And today in the United States, we don't hear that. All we hear is the 100 number. We hear that in 100 years, 100 million people have died behind communism. Well, stop.
Right.
The figures, the figures that I've read, that's half of the people right there. The people that starved just in China, discounting other countries, made up half of that number right there.
Our children in school, they all know how bad the Nazis are and how bad Hitler was. So when I told them, people died under Mao, murder, suicide, mass famine were greater than the people died under Nazis.
Oh, yeah.
Were shocked.
And no one is taught. No one is taught that information.
Right.
Folks, we're talking to Lily Tang Williams. I'm going to have to go on a break, so if you guys have to hit the electric winkle chamber or anything, I'm going to take a break. When we return, more questions for Lily Tang Williams, and the reason I wanted her on tonight is because you need to hear and understand what communism really looks like. Not what people want communism to be, but what communism really is. Come right back after this, please.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The LID Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the LID himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At LID Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the LID Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
No surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America, one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty voided Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm sorry for keeping everybody up so late at night. We're listening to LILY Tang Williams. She's talking about her story of living under communism in China, because that's exactly what leftists, Democrats, anarchists, Antifa, socialists, and communists want for you right here in the United States of America, should Joe Biden, actually his puppet masters, win in November. Also, I got to tell you this. During the show, because I'm killed on Facebook, share the hell out of this show. Share it on SHR. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Any point of social media is definitely appreciated. And Texas Fred in chat says, I'm so sleepy. It's all I can do to sit here and keep my clothes on. That's a visual. Okay, brainworm. So, folks, also, funny you should mention that. If you're on Facebook, go to the USGOA, U.S. Gun Owners Association, USGOA, for some of the best articles on firearms, tactics, articles, and a wonderful, great, and huge supporter of the Second Amendment is Texas Fred. On Facebook, USGOA, U.S. Gun Owners Association. Go there quick like a bunny, got to be recommended. I can recommend, or other people that are members that are there can do that very same thing. Sarah says it's only 8:30 in the West, BZ. Well, yes, you're absolutely right. LILY Tang Williams, thank you again for being here tonight. In the chat room, Jack Alexander has his wife, I believe he said, was from Hong Kong. So that made me curious. LILY Tang Williams, do you still communicate with anybody in China? Have you either got any friends or acquaintances that you occasionally communicate with in China?
Mark, I have my most extended family relatives live in China.
Oh, gosh.
They live in China. I have my husband and I and two little boys. We worked in Hong Kong from 1996 to 98. When the turnover happened, 1997, we were there. We watched the fireworks. We watched the Jiang Zemin and the Patton, hold the ceremony for the turnover. My boss had a New Zealand passport, Australia passport ready to escape if something bad happened. And lots of people had prepared the second option to go away if something bad happened to Hong Kong. But nothing happened except the flag changed and the ceremony happened. So people stayed, continued to do their business, one country, two systems, for 50 years. But then this started all change, especially in recent a few years after we had the new unelected Chairman Xi.
Okay.
I hate to call him President Xi because he was not elected by people of China. So he was, basically agreed to, self-appointed, or people's, party people appoint him and to be the chairman of the China Communist Party and the Chinese Military Commission. Just remember, you will think, military, like here, military people are going to be sworn in to defend Constitution. But in China, militaries are controlled by the Communist Party. So when Mao said political power came out from barrel of gun, the revolution is not dinner party. We need to make our enemies be passive. He's all talking about violent cultural revolution, ideological revolution, and literally physical revolution to maintain his power. That's the true color of a Communist Party. I also went through the party when they started open up under Deng Xiaoping. I went to college in the 1980s. It was called the Chinese Cultural Renaissance. We had art, Chinese rock and roll. We had dancing parties every weekend. After we fought, finally we could dance. It was banned at the beginning. So we had a relatively freer a few years in the 1980s. Then until 1989, the Tiananmen Square student protests were crushed down with guns and tanks. And you cannot even Google inside of China today about June 4th, Tiananmen Square massacre. So after that, 1989 student movement, China have not had any big-scale peaceful demonstrations because they were freaking out. If you go to Tiananmen, you look suspicious, they're going to talk to you or take you away until the students' movement in Hong Kong. I have a special place in my heart for Hong Kong because I lived there for 2 years. It was one of the most freest marketplace in the world. Free market, and Hong Kong people, free to start business, flat 15% tax system. You just send your tax in on piece of like a postcard. Here's how much we made. Here's how much we made. Here's one deduction, and here's a 10 or 15% you own. Send in. No need for CPRs. No need for all those hundreds of pages of codes and deductions. It was great. And then my husband, walked down the store shops and people would grab him, measure his body size. And he, my husband's kind of big. He's from Texas. And those Palestinians and merchants running business in Hong Kong will measure his body size to make him custom-made suits with the English imported wool material. He get 2 sets of suits for $200 each. And we love those memories of Hong Kong. It's so sad to see after 23, 22 years or something, they start to do this crap, same Communist Party crap to Hong Kong, to Hong Kong young people who never were subject to communism. They grew up in relatively freer, like a British rule of law. That's why you got Hong Kong people fighting for democracy, freedom, and risk their lives to go out. I remember last summer, one time, you had 2 million people in Hong Kong. Out of 7 million people in Hong Kong go to street, support students, and condemn that the law will send the criminals to Beijing for not fair trial. And that's what the law caused all this movement. But now they just bypass all that. Oh, we don't care. You can like that law. Now we're going to pass the law in Beijing. We're going to just force on you. Death of Hong Kong should wake up all the freedom lovers in whole world to say what we're going to do as a people in the free world. If we don't wake up after what they did in Hong Kong, what if they're going to go after Taiwan? They're going to go after all the other people in other countries. Look what they're doing to Australia today. Australia would have 2 group students protest. One is support Hong Kong, another group is pro Hong Kong, and one is pro Beijing. You got 2. So you will see their infiltration of Communist Party influence and the ideology and the brainwashing indoctrination are happening all over the world. They are all over the world. Through the One Belt, One Road initiative. If you talk about Antifa movement, it has nothing to do with communism, think again. There's a radio. I watch Chinese TV every day, okay? There was a video showing that at the end of the Antifa protest, they heard Mandarin Chinese speaking to say, hurry, let's go. I think our Congress should do investigation on who is funding all those chaotic Antifa groups.
Yes.
It was leaked by the Chinese Communist Party and propaganda department. When it comes to foreign policy, they want the free world to have chaos. The more chaos you have, then the less people will pay attention to them. They still need to investigate COVID-19. Was that accidentally leaked, purposely leaked? When Chinese people were locked down in Wuhan, but they did not shut down international travel. All the Chinese can go abroad. Why? Why did they lie for so long and cover for so long until it's too late? So there are lots of questions need to be asked. And it's so sad for me, Mark. I'm from China, come to a free country. Now I say people today, look, in a few months, they could lose lots of their rights and freedoms, all on excuse of public health, public goods. It's like, are we still America? We trust authorities so much, and we're willing to sacrifice all our freedoms, right, for temporary shutdown. I understand that when people were scared for about 2 months shutdown, But now you have more evidence come up. You have more scientific view. You have a different opinion. But as a matter of fact, if you have different opinions, not meet the narrative, then you get shut down by the big tech media. And if your professor, even your Democrat professor, say something different about Black Lives Matter movement, then you will lose your job. And you are forced to resign.
Boy, do
this
I have...
This is crazy to me.
I've
crazy.
got story after story of that after you leave in the first hour. I've got tons of stories about that. But why, Lily, let me ask you this. Folks, we're talking to LILY Tang Williams. She lived in communist China under Mao Tse Tung. The Cultural Revolution occurred. The big question next is, what was it then, LILY Tang Williams, that made you recognize, you know what, I got to get out of China. This is the last straw. I got to get out. What was that for you that made you say, okay, I got to leave?
The Cultural Revolution, of course, I was very young. I just remember my uncle and generation, schools were shutting down. So we could have unlimited supply of young people's energy to do revolution, to support Chairman Mao, and to almost like get rid of 4 O's, right? Old idea, old custom, old culture, and old habits. And once Mao finished use up those young people, he sent them to countryside for 10 years. Go to countryside, re-educated by peasants because they were getting violent. It's like today's kids, right? After peaceful protest, they become violent. And the school was shutting down. Everything was shutting down. So my 3 uncles went to countryside for 8, 10, 12 years individually. You can only keep the youngest child at home. Intellectuals, labor camps, if you disagree with the party. People who dare to show opposition to the narrative of the party and Mao, called rightists, counter-revolutionary, go to labor camps. Of course, some people cannot handle all that. They kill themselves. So lots of people died during the Cultural Revolution. When Mao died, he became like a god because of Cultural Revolution. Nobody could challenge him anymore. Then all of a sudden, 1976, he died. I was only 12 years old. And I could not believe he died because I thought somebody lied to me. Was he a god? How did he die? It's 10,000 years, right? He lived 10,000 years or double 10,000 years. I never challenged that. So I started to question. And after I went to college, that's one thing I have in mind. I need to search for truth. Okay. Maybe I need to study law to become involved in my home country's transformation to rule of law society. But then when I went to law school, I become lost again. They told me law is not for justice. Law is a tool for the party to use to govern its people, its masses. You're just one of the masses. You're not the individual people. And I was so sad and depressed again until I met a college student from America who read to me the Declaration for Independence, first paragraph. My English was pretty bad, but I understood. All men are created equal. And I did not even understand that part. Why? What do you mean? All men are created equal. We're not Americans. We are Chinese. He said it doesn't matter. You are children of the God. You are a woman. You are Chinese. And it doesn't matter your skin color. You are equal. You have the natural rights given to you by your creator, by God, not by your government. That turned on my light bulbs. I never turn it off. That's how I decided. When I gave up on China, when I became a faculty member of law school, I could not change China, but they were going to take away my probably whole life happiness because I could never turn my light bulbs off. I need to have freedom. So I arranged to come to the United States legally to go to graduate school. That was the only way I could get out of China by having $100 borrowed from friends to come to this country. And of course, Mark, when you were totally indoctrinated all your life, you don't just become a free thinker overnight. It took me 20 years in this country to wake up and to be outspoken like I am today.
So, LILY TANG WILLIAMS, let me ask you this. You mentioned this before. China is a relatively new country these days with Xi Jinping. And like you mentioned, he was, I think you said he was General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. He was chairman of the Central Military Commission since 2012. He's been, air quotes, president of the PRC, the People's Republic of China, since 2013. Now, under Xi Jinping, can you think of any reason whatsoever that Americans or American presidents should believe anything that comes out of China? Or is there still something left of China that can be salvaged, do you think?
Well, after the Tiananmen massacre, Bush did go work with Deng Xiaoping again to do trade, and even persuaded the other countries to give China a second chance. And Deng Xiaoping wanted to reinvigorate Chinese economy. He did go to South China in the early 1990s to start special economic zones like Shenzhen, all that, the East Coast area. It was a big boom to attract foreign investment and to start foreign factories or joint venture factories. So because of those a little bit of free market adoption, China become richer, and people were first focused on economic boom. So Western world had a kind of hope for Chinese. Oh, maybe China will go to WTO, become a member of the World Trade Organization. Maybe they will become democracy like us and get rid of communism because the economy almost collapsed and people starved to death. Right. Maybe China will change. It's that kind of idealistic, like even hope for Chinese that, they even thought after Xi Jinping, we will become more democratic country, have lots of hope for him. But boom, things just did not go down that way. It become worse and worse, more and more human rights abuses, more and more social critics, censorship, and suppress of free speech. And they have a Xinjiang concentration camp for 1 million people. They cracked down Falun Gong in the 1990s, 1999. That's like 10 years after Tiananmen Square massacre. Then they had another crackdown on the spiritual Buddhist movement of Falun Gong. It's like all those human rights abuses did not stop Western countries to continue view China, partially because of their ignorance and the suppress of free press. Lots of people just did not know the truth. They did not know. Even the Chinese people themselves did not know. So they continue support the party, support the economy, and some people did become super rich, but for corruption, it did not matter. And this China did not just, do some crazy stuff like Mao did. But now with this new chairman, it's different. He invented himself as new Mao. He would like to be new Mao. Mao's little red books, we have Xi Jinping little red apps. So you can download his apps into your cell phone. Yes. If you're a party member, if you want to get a promotion, you download the chairman's app, you read, you take a test. So you get enough points, then you get a promotion. Is that a terrible going backwards? People know, oh my goodness, Cultural Revolution is coming back to China, but nobody can dare to say anything. And in the middle of this, then you have COVID happen, and the Chinese people suffer so much. Because with COVID, because of precisely low free flow of information, no transparency, it's all party doctrine and the party control. It caused so many lives, not just in China, but all over the world.
Exactly.
I hope people wake up, really look at China, the true color.
LILY TANG WILLIAMS, I told you that I would not keep you up past midnight because it is about 6 minutes to midnight on the East Coast where you are right now. It's about.
Well, I offer you. When I talk about liberty, I cannot stop.
Oh.
If you want to have more questions for me, let's do it.
Oh,
I've been to California before. Yeah. I know we have 3 hours difference, but I want to get my messages, my stories out.
Okay.
So I don't mind if you need me, if you have time for me.
Yeah, I've got 2 full hours for you if you need it. I do have a bunch of questions. I will limit them because, like I say, I know it's going to be midnight there fairly shortly. 2 of the most important questions that I thought I wanted to get to you before you go were this. For my listeners, for anybody that's listening live or listening later in podcast or wants to make reference to this so that they can hear what you have to say. And for those who are, what do you think people don't understand about, well, I should say Americans? What do you think that Americans don't primarily understand about the nature of communism?
I think after years I stay here, since I came here 1988, and also went through self-wakening up process myself and getting involved in politics since 2008. And I feel they don't understand because they are not taught. They also were taught to really trust a government and trust authority. That's why the U.S. government is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Individuals are getting smaller and smaller, and they always resort to government for more programs, more solutions, and all sounds good stuff, include democratic socialism. But I have lots of Democrat friends. They're not bad people, Mark. They're not demons. They're good, compassionate people. But they just don't understand the approach. They want the government to use more and more laws and more programs to get involved with everybody else, life, business, schools, everything. We are losing more and more our individual choices and freedom, and even how to run our business, how to educate our kids, and to make decisions as a parent. And eventually also kids bear our arms. All that are dangerous slipping away just because good-meaning people want the government to do good. But they don't understand government nature is to grow and grow to maintain its control also. And you have so many special interests who wanted to keep government that way. So my advice would be, let's talk about more other options besides government. Let's get united behind our founding fathers' principles and the values, and to work sent out and commonly discuss solutions, have a debate. Instead of this so divided today, make me very sad.
LILY Tang Williams, we're talking to LILY Tang Williams tonight, and we're going to be, let's see, what time is it? I got about 2 more minutes, so we're going to be coming up to the top of the hour break in about 2 more minutes. And if she would be kind enough, I'll hold her over for maybe another couple of questions after the top of the hour break, and then we'll go on with other stuff.
Oh, Mark, I will stay. You got me very excited. I cannot go sleep anyway.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I'll
right.
stay.
LILY Tang Williams, leftists and Democrats are saying that socialism is a necessary goal for the United States, and that customarily leads to communism. So you lived it, you saw it. Do you see that? Do you see America on the cusp of falling into that trap?
Well, you know why young kids think they like socialism, they support Bernie Sanders, and when I go to school, actually face-to-face talk to them, they actually truly do not really understand what socialism is about. And so basically they think socialism is about, okay, equality and justice and free stuff. They want free college because they don't understand why colleges are getting more and more expensive.
Yep.
They want the minimum wage. They don't understand why workers cannot make enough living. So basically, they are taught, all those year schools, including their parents, are taught in the government schools that we need to talk about those issues. But the solution is always government, more programs, more money, more taxes. They do not resort to free market economy and free enterprise. Like, how come they don't teach our kids how to start business, how to manage money, how to even manage their credit? Instead, they push them get into interest loans, student debt. They cannot get out of it. Our kids never even read the fine print when they take a student loan debt. It's their debt. You can never write off. And now, of course, they're trapped in those debts. If government comes to save them, it'd be great, right? Write it off. Yeah, they don't understand where the money comes. Just write off 1 pen. You know, they don't understand how economy works.
No,
and
that's because
really
it's because they are purposely ill-educated or uneducated. Folks, we're listening to Lily Tang Williams. I am BZ. This is The Saloon. We're going to take a break, come right back, continue with Lily. I still have a couple of questions left for her. And again, Lily, thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight. We will be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York. The Lid himself, Jeff Dunnett. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunnett.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
This is Shannon Wright.
And this is Michael Wright.
Reminding you to listen
to The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Every Monday through Thursday.
7 to 9 a.m.
Right here on shrmedia.com.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the unpleasant blind guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense Elite Radio Show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EDL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian sackheads Clint plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty voided Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the second hour of the Saloon. It's BZ's, BBS, BZ's. It is I, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Ryan broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. Tonight we're speaking to LILY Tang Williams, who lived in China under Mao Tse Tung, under actual communism, described in the first hour what terrible conditions there were in China as she was growing up, illustrated to us how, as in between 1959 and 1961, a massive rout of starvation occurred, and also that during that time, no one knows, and all these people died for nothing. 45 million Chinese died of starvation. An incredible amount of individuals. So, LILY, we are very glad that you are here tonight. Also in chat, Mike is in chat, Simone's in chat, Jack's in chat, Fred is in chat, guest 1029, who I quantified as being infinitely more valuable than guest 1028 because guest 1028 is so yesterday. Miss Opulence, Sarah, and one viewer happen to be in chat. LILY Tang Williams, I got to ask you, if people call in, would you mind fielding a question or two if they had some?
Oh, I love questions. I always leave time when I teach it and students give them time to ask a question. There's a little trick. If you offer kids extra credit when they ask me questions, I get a lot more questions. It was really fun. So I would love to take your view and listeners' questions.
Okay, so folks, I'm telling you right now, if you call in, you are going to get extra credit. And if that isn't a motivation, I don't know what the hell is. So here's the number. If you happen to be watching on Facebook, and I'm sorry again, I can't interact with you on Facebook. Oh, where's my manners? Folks, if you're on Facebook, join the USGOA, U.S. Gun Owners Association. If you are interested in firearms, reviews, tactics, articles, the USGOA, U.S. Gun Owners Association, a massive, obvious supporter of the Second Amendment. Be there. Go there quick like a bunny. A great place to go on Facebook. So in the chat room, a ton of people there. And if you're watching on Facebook, because the stream is going on Facebook, and if you're watching on YouTube, at the bottom of the screen, you can see the number. But for those of you who just are listening in, the number is 575-208-4481. I know it's late at night, or if you're listening in podcast, the show is already over. Anyway, 575-208-4481. Don't you hate hosts that want you to call in, but they never give you the damn number? And you can't write it down because they say, the number is... And call in right now. No, I'm going to give it to you again if you want to call in. 575-208-4481. So, in the meantime, if we get any people that happen to be calling in, some other things occurred to you, LILY Tang Williams, while you were here in the United States. Now, you took your master's degree at the University of Texas in Austin, in the School of Social Work. And then you worked, if I'm not mistaken, you worked in the corporate world for a while. I'm just kind of curious because I don't remember. What did you do in the corporate world, Lily?
Well, the first, the corporate world I worked in actually was in Hong Kong.
Okay.
My husband was in University of Wyoming. We had 2 little boys. I was working as a social worker with a master's degree to help a home health agency. And we got this opportunity to actually go to Hong Kong with a huge aircraft. They were building Hong Kong's new airport with the British contract. So my husband said that he was one of the 2 people who raised hands to volunteer to go to Hong Kong out of about 1,000 employees. And the people say, well, why are you interested? He said, oh, my wife is Chinese. I will have no problem to adapt to the aging place living. So we went to hotel, we had a chat with the vice president who was in charge of the Hong Kong operation, and then give us a couple of weeks and before we even open our boxes and, move down to Denver, start his real job. And in Aurora, Colorado, we basically were sent to Hong Kong. It was a great 2 years. I cannot be thankful enough. I think it was almost destiny for us to go there. So that was my first corporate job. I got a job with the international trading company. And guess what? The international trading company was the worldwide buying agency for Walmart and the Sam's Club.
Wow.
I was reporting to president directly as a corporate manager. So I had the pleasure experience to travel to 3 China offices for a while to liaison between headquarter buying offices with the China inspection offices. It was a great eye-opening experience for me. So when we come back after 2 years, because my husband's contract was only 2 years, so after the airport was built, we flew out of New Airport, come back to Aurora. Hughes aircraft was sold to Raytheon. So my husband continued work for the same company, later called Raytheon, for 20 years. So we lived in Colorado for all those years, raised our 3 children, and I worked for a telecommunication company to do internet and long-distance phone calls. And I got a layoff year of 2000 because it was a bubble. You call it telecom bubble. When I got a layoff, my goodness, the experience of getting pink slip was not fun, okay?
No,
it
bad.
was a part of a market economy. When you got fired, you got to go. So I came home very depressed. My husband said, what's wrong? I said, can you be the only, a person who's working, bring home the bacon for a while? I told him, I want to start my own business. I will never go back to work for another corporation.
Nice.
And I did. I started my own business year of 2000. And because of my Chinese legal experience and bilingual by culture, I thought I could do a consulting for international trading. But I was in Denver. It was not lots of international trade there, not like California or New York. But also that I did not have that much experience. I was doing consulting for first 8 years. I did not even make a profit. So I was so depressed again. What is my American dream? I cannot just rely on my husband. I need to make money. So that was the housing bubble bursted. So after I failed for 8 years, and I got into residential real estate business because the housing bubble provided the opportunity to, the only money I got was our primary home. So we took all that equity line of credit out, got into rental business, and that one is successful and gave me the time and freedom today and to be a grassroots speaker and activist. I'm very grateful. I'm living American dream. I mean, I started at some other 2 or 3 business, but most successful and pay bills, it's the rental business. So we buy rental properties through the down years and quite a few of them. So now my husband is retired last year. That's why we had the, pleasure now to second choice to move to New Hampshire. And our 3 adult kids, and the youngest now in college. So So we have the second freedom as parents. I mean, I'm so grateful. I'm very blessed. And that's why I feel like I don't want this country go down to the wrong path, because I want to see my kids and all the American kids have their chance, opportunity to fulfill their American dream. When you have a socialist economy, you don't have American dream. You might have equality, so-called everybody, like in China, back then was equally poor, share a bowl of rice with everybody, guaranteed a rice bowl, but you were poor. You were dirt poor. Yeah, that's what the socialist economy is everybody equally poor. You don't have lots of free enterprise spirit people because they all have no incentive to create. That's where young people need to learn about economics 101. They need to learn how money works, how jobs are created, and how government can actually interfere with the economy. Now you don't have a prosperity anymore. Look at Venezuela today, right? They used to be one of the most prosperous countries in South America. Now they are socialist country, and people are starving to death. They remind me of China, right? They were eating their cats. We had to eat rats. I ate rats. We trapped the rats to eat to supplement the protein, because we only got like 2.8 pounds of meat every month for a family of 5. So you wanted to have meat. It's crazy. Like, how about our main media don't talk about the failure of Cuba, the failure of Venezuela, and all those failures? They don't think it's good enough to prove. You might have some slogan sounds good, workers, equality, this or that, a few cents pick cherry, here, there. But as a whole society, people were suffering. And it's not good for peasants, workers, even though they claim it's good for workers. My dad was the poorest worker, illiterate worker in China, working 6 days a week. We could not even have enough food to eat. How good does that benefit working class people? Only the market economy actually gives you a little bit better benefits, a lot better in America. The Americans, the poor people actually are relatively rich.
Oh, yeah.
Compared with other third world countries.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yes. Oh, my God, yes. Now, LILY Tang Williams, you moved to Colorado. You opened a business. You learned by being an entrepreneur and by being in business. Now, then something also very remarkable occurred in your life that we haven't yet addressed. And before you left, I definitely wanted to address this. So, did any of those things that occurred to you in Colorado specifically have anything to do with your decision to run for political office? Because we haven't even hit that yet. Folks, she ran for political office. So let's start there. One day you were thinking to yourself, I want to run for office. What made you think that, LILY Tang Williams?
Well, to really wake up, to learn about America grassroots politics, I wanted to learn because I never learned in China. So I just thought, I'm in this free country now. I need to learn as much as possible. After my husband teach me a little bit about free market economy, and then I wanted to learn about the education, about the grassroots democracy, like HOA. I got my first run is HOA board. HOA board in Colorado, where our primary home was located, because I did not like, they keep raising my dues. So if you don't like something, you better do something about it.
Yeah, get involved. Exactly.
Yes. So I got involved with that. I learned a lot. And then I run for my charter school, my children's charter school board. I become a president. I truly believe education is the key for your children's future.
It is.
And I did not like what they were doing in public school in Parker, Colorado, even though we were one of the richest counties. But the way they handle children were just wrong. Like my son was only 7, 8 years old, got a call to principal office for some really stupid stuff, really bad for boys who were just adventurous, imaginative, wanting to take a risk. it was so bad. So I pulled all my kids out and put them in charter school, and I got involved. I become president. And so I had a little bit experience there. Then later, I become an intern for state office representative in Colorado. The state rep, they need an intern and like a citizen volunteer. I thought, what is a great way to learn about that? So I went to state capitol once a week on a bus to learn, and it was a great experience. The only thing really got me off the sofa to get involved in politics, it was 2013, when the Colorado legislature wanted to have 3 gun control bills pushed through. And I never really were gun nuts. I didn't own any guns. I just went to shooting range and helped by my husband's family, Texas family, to practice guns. I thought, hey, this is cool. This is our Second Amendment right, and it's always there to protect me. So 2013 is the first year I ever feel threatened in this country. It was that year.
Really? What
Oh
happened?
my God.
What happened?
They are going to take our guns away. That's how I got scared. They want to ban the magazine to 10, okay, for AR-15 magazine to 10 rounds, and they want to forbidden on campus concealed carry, and later they threw that out. They also want to, just all the bills come out. We still lost on the magazine ban, so now today they have 10 magazine ban, and they're trying to continue to ban AR-15. Even with the rapid, people who were suffered from rapist experience, victims testify, it doesn't matter. It passed along the party night. So first time I went to state capitol, testified against those bills.
Okay.
I told my stories. And that was a great experience, but they passed anyway, so I got scared. I said this is the country that really does not I value constitutional rights, but not everybody does, not our government.
Whoa, okay. She hit the cancel thing, or she ran out of a cell, which is okay. Because I'm always prepared for situations like this. One of the things, and folks, we were and we may be getting back to LILY Tang Williams. Let me see if I can give her a ring here real quick. And while we're waiting, I can see if, there we go.
I'm sorry, it could be me.
That's okay. That's okay. The phone sort of killed itself. Anyway, folks, we're listening to LILY Tang Williams. I was asking her how she got involved in politics. She got involved in politics at the local level. All politics is local, from her local HOA. And then because she was concerned about what was happening in her state of Colorado itself, what we haven't gotten to yet. What do I have? I have 7 more minutes. Okay. I got 7 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. So, LILY Tang Williams, you were nominated as a candidate by the Libertarian Party of Colorado in March of 2014 to run for the state of representatives in District 44. Now, first question, why Libertarian?
Well, I was independent for many years.
Okay.
And when I become a citizen, I supposed to vote and supposed to check out the parties. So when I came back from Hong Kong, I got involved with all those different organizations, and I did my internship with a Republican and state legislator.
Okay.
And so I checked out the Republican Party's platform, small limited government.
Mm-hmm.
And that was good enough for me because that was a critical point, small, limited government. So I joined the Republican, from independent to Republican. But then 2000, so I ran, I did not run for office. I just went to parties and did all the Republican stuff. And 2008, when Bush bailed out the banks and talk about, the capitalism failed, government had to come in to bail the banks with taxpayers' money, I just could not take it. I got so mad. And plus Republicans in Colorado that time, they were not really talking about liberty, freedom. It's always talk about party issues. And after Bush did that, and of course he expanded the government. He's the one who started No Child Left Behind, the federal centralized of education.
Yep.
I was so frustrated. And then my husband told me, well, if you're frustrated with Republicans, there is a third party. Because I have lots of Democrat friends. I could join Democrat Party too. But they all also want to grow government. So I said, what is my choice? And so my husband told me about Libertarian Party and told me about Ayn Rand's book, Atlas Shrugged. And later I watched all those movies too. And so I joined the Libertarian Party. And when they needed a candidate to run, I thought I was not ready to run. But they said, you're ready, Lily. You're ready with your English, with your second language, English.
Mm-hmm.
We need the people to run. So I was running and recruited, but the people like my messages. They always give me big cheers, especially Tea Party people. And so I did not win, of course. So I got a 7% or something. Nobody knew me then until that point. And I thought, political message is fun. At least I feel like I'm doing something for the right cause. So I later ran for Libertarian Party state chair, trying to organize people and organize party. And in 2016, I wanted to run for U.S. Senate. I thought I would be the best person to get a freedom message out there. And I got a nomination, then I resigned as chair. And so that's how I really went to the speaking tour, is as a U.S. Senate candidate. I teamed up with the Green Party candidate because the two parties would not allow me into debate. So I went out 5 colleges with this Green Party candidate. We disagree with each other respectfully, but we are friends. So we could be civil to each other and to have honest debate about what is the best solution to actually solve Americans' problems. And I did win some college students over by persuasion, by telling personal stories. I thought that was exciting, very rewarding. So I decided after that, I locked on some doors to continue speaking. Education is the key, as I said. So now I come to New Hampshire, continue to be activist, continue to go to schools. It's very exciting in February, right before the lockdown. I went to Lavada, Colorado, 5 schools. I reached out to over 2,000 students. My best compliment from a middle school student, a little girl, she told her grandma, after Miss Lily's talk and stories, I will never be a socialist. And that was very, very exciting to hear that. I'm very, very happy about that. I think it's just one person, one young kid, one student at a time to persuade people through personal stories.
You have a great story. You are a great storyteller. Since you said that you don't mind being on for a little bit longer, when we get back from the bottom of the hour break, I have a story actually that I'd like to read to you. It's by an author named Marian Tupy. It's called 100 Years of Communism, Death and Deprivation. It's not all that long. Once I get through it, I want to ask you a couple of questions. What is it that makes all of this so attractive? And then also I want to get into a little bit about China, Wuhan 19, the COVID disease, and a little bit, and maybe wrap things up with a little bit of President Trump, because I'm really curious about your views with regard to President Trump and how he's handling China. Because if you were to ask most people in the media, what I call the American media maggots, he has lit them up on fire. But I bet definitely you have some opinions on that. So, folks, we're going to take a break. It's the bottom of the hour, 9:30 on the left coast, 12:30 on the east coast. In Bolivia, it's 1749.72325. Subparagraph 4, Growth Cluster 2, emphasize and italicize the 3, because I never quite understood Bolivian time, and it never really made any sense to me. So we'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The LID Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the LID himself, Jeff Dunnett. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At LID Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the LID Radio Show with Jeff Dunnett.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
This is Shannon Wright,
And this is Michael Wright.
reminding you to listen
To the Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
every Monday through Thursday,
7 to 9 a.m.
right here on
shrmedia.com.
shrmedia.com.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the unpleasant blind guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense Elite Radio Show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On ADL Radio,
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian, Sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty voided Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the final 25 minutes of BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Thanks for being here tonight. We have had a great guest, LILY Tang Williams. I still have some more questions. I also got to tell you this. You can follow me if you're interested, because I'm on Facebook suspension for a month now. Facebook derezzed my ass completely off of that social media for the next month. So you can follow me. Actually, I've always been much more active in social media on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP. Also, you can go to the SHR Media YouTube channel. Click notifications, give our videos a big old thumbs up like that. We got great hosts, great videos, not just mine, a lot of other shows, a lot of other good people there. And I always have to ask, are you a supporter of the Second Amendment? Because if you are, and you are on Facebook, go quick like a bunny to the USGOA, U.S. Gun Owners Association, and join the group there. Great articles about firearms, about situations, about tactics, and of course about the Second Amendment. And I'm going to ask you this also. Let's rock this media world, and could you please move me out of the category of best late-night conservatarian talk show you've never heard of and make Clyde the Bobcat and Demi the Studio Cat actually proud of me? Just asking for a friend. Okay, Demi, you can stop paying me now. She's rubbing up against my ankles right now. So, we're talking to LILY Tang Williams before the break, and I had an article that I wanted to read. I may... this is what I wanted to do. In chat, Lily, while we were waiting, I mentioned and wrote in the chat room, I think that maybe Lily should write a book because she's got a really good story. She's a really good storyteller. So if she could encapsulate her story and put it in a book, I bet that she could sell 1 million of them because her story so resonates, just like I wanted her to be here tonight to talk about communism, her background, her life, her story, and what she's doing now. So, LILY Tang Williams, have you ever thought about writing a book? I think you could kick some major butt if you were to write a book about your story. It would resonate.
Well, it's on the list. I have a public Facebook page also for you listeners to share or ask me questions. It's called Lily for Liberty, LILY 4 Liberty, Lily for Liberty. I have people writing to me from that page all the time. Whenever you have a book come out, we will buy it. So it's on my list. I feel like I just haven't accomplished much yet. I need to learn more, and but I plan to get something done maybe next year. Mm-hmm. I think after years of teaching students, I really wanted to write a young adult book for the young students. So that way, the teachers who teach social studies, who can use them as eyewitness of communism and also socialism in China after Mao, to teach students. And you make like a little interesting, like a storytelling and fiction or something like that. So that way, you don't bore children. And they like, I have children follow me now, like students follow me on Instagram. So that's in the plan. But thank you, though. I appreciate that. And I think that would be something that's worth pursuing.
I think, and I'll tell you what, if you need an editor, I've done it before for other people, edited books, and I would offer my services for free. And the other reason I say that is because even if I didn't do that, even if I weren't involved, and you published a book, young lady, I would run to the bookstore and I wouldn't run to the bookstore today. I'd order one over the internet if you wrote anything, because your story is that incredible and that awesome. So I'm glad to hear that you plan on doing something.
One more thing, your team can help me in it's two things.
Okay.
Number one, I want my messages go to the whole country. So if you have some school teachers who are open to help me in their classrooms, that require some, of course, a strategy. I'm not partisan at all. I just go tell stories. And there's low cost to school to have me to go to talk to their students. As long as there are 100 students, my sponsor will send me to middle school, high schools, and colleges if there are 100 students to listen to my story. Number two, I wanted to go to more left side media because they have lots of listeners. I know Joe Rogan is your state. I would love to get on his show because he has 2 or 3 hours with his, people he interviews. It's very interesting because I have watched quite a few of them, including Elon Musk, Melissa Chen. And so you have lots of those talk show hosts have millions of followers. And also, it's great to have that long time to tell stories, even without stopping, like Joe Rogan shows like that. I would love to do that if you could make an introduction. And I'm trying because I'm trying to take up my stories to the main media. And I don't care because I want to go to MSNBC, NBC, CNN. I don't care because I just want to go tell my stories because the people in the box, like Democrats, Republicans, I don't. Because I want to see America's unified country. We all care about this country in different ways. We just have to start talking to each other, figure out solutions. And our true enemies are not our fellow citizens. And they are the people behind the scenes. And the very small minority of jerk, they change our necks. So I have to wake people up to say, let's unite it. Let's not be so naive to trust them, believe them, and fight each other. There's no use for us to fight each other. We all lose, like all the Chinese people lost. After Mao enslaved all of them. After the party enslaved all of them. And there's no party choice. There's no choice at all. So that's my story. I want to go to main society to share my stories. I hope you can help me.
LILY Tang Williams, I would agree with you 100% that yours is not a partisan story. However, in today's society, I'm afraid that a lot of people would see you as a partisan individual if for no other reason than you're a libertarian. If you admitted that you were a Republican in terms of attempting to solicit for CNN, MSNBC, or something like that, they would hold you at arm's length. I don't think you're partisan at all. But I just would call, well, number one, here's the sad news about California. I always spell it with a K. The Los Angeles School District just decided that it's going to lock down and not let kids back. And the reason they did that is they're not going to allow any students or themselves, teachers, into the school district, because the Los Angeles School District is friggin' huge, until police get defunded and they remove charter schools. So that's not going to happen. In the county of Sacramento, where I am right here, they decided they're not going to let kids back in school. That's a story for another time. I could go off on all of that stuff. It's very angering. I'll tell you what, I was going to read from this article called 100 Years of Communism, Death and Deprivation, and I have decided not to because I still have some other questions that I would like to ask you, and it's not about me. One thing that I like to do, and I hope people enjoy the show because of this tendency. How many times have you heard, especially on major news shows, a host have a guest and the host won't shut the hell up? And the host keeps interrupting the person that's supposed to be the guest on the show, and I find that massively irritating, which is why I like to try to offer people at least a full hour on the show, and LILY Tang Williams is kind enough to be here for just about the full 2 hours tonight, and I really, really appreciate that. But especially with a guest like LILY Tang Williams, you need... and I'm speaking too long even at this point, you need to, as a host, shut the hell up and tell her story. And shut the hell up and let any guest that you are featuring, just let them talk. Because if you'd ask a couple of questions every once in a while and just listen to what people have to say, you might actually learn something. And whenever you're on, I definitely learn something. I do have a couple more questions left. What do you think is so appealing, LILY Tang Williams, about socialism and communism that has only succeeded in, just as you indicated in the first hour, killing, starving, 45 million Chinese people in the span of 3 years. Historically, communism has killed a minimum of 100 million people, but what is it? I still don't get this part. What is it about socialism and communism that's so in? This is like it's candy. It's candy for these people. I don't get it, Lily.
Well, if you dig into our progressive school system, especially in the past, I don't know how many years, and Common Core, all that, and before that, if people knew that many people died, that many people suffered, how horrible it was, they would not support it, okay? I trust human beings have that common sense. But the thing is, though, our children, our young people, even include some of their parents in their 40s, they might not know. It depends on what they do, what their profession, if they search for truth on their own or not, if they have a liberty, constitutional, aware parents or not. They just don't know. If they don't know, the ideology sounds wonderful. The slogan sounds wonderful. Yeah, for the justice, social justice, equality, workers' rights, group rights, identity politics. And the people don't know the truth. You think that's wonderful. That's why they even use democratic socialism. They don't use socialism straight. They use democratic socialism. And I explain to kids, it doesn't matter what adjective you use in front of socialism.
Exactly.
The results are the same.
Yep.
The results, communism will enslave you by force. And socialism, democratic socialism, will enslave you by voting. Because they persuade you to vote for them. Well, at the beginning, they allow you to vote for them, like Cuba, Venezuela did. Then later, you don't even have to vote anymore. All the votes don't count.
Yep.
It's all fraud. So it doesn't matter. It's the same slaughterhouse you are going to be led to. So people who really need to learn history, I don't know what's going in this country. So why we fund the schools? Why we fund universities? Why we fund so many, NGOs even? But in our universities, government schools, what is the diversity of ideas? What is the diversity of ideologies? You have a 90% of the faculties and professors might lean left. I mean, like they did a research or something. It's about right. It's 90% of left versus right, or Democrat, religious Democrats against Republicans. But I'm not saying all religious Democrats people are lefty radical. They're not. You saw that UCLA history professor come out to rebuttal the narrative of police brutality and the discrimination. And she was afraid to use her real name. That's exactly what happened under Mao's Cultural Revolution. It's like you're so afraid. You don't have academic freedom. You cannot even have a decent debate. So there's something about reforms needed. I hope people will come around after this crazy year. Some of the stuff their government is doing, the cancel culture is doing, will backfire. Then people can wake up to say, oh, maybe that's not the right way to go down that path. We have no rule of law, and we have no property rights, and they're forced you to wear something when you don't want to, when you have medical exception, like the forced vaccination, like some other states are talking about. All those stuff, people do not connect with government force. They're going to force you. It's not a choice. Don't you believe a choice? I have Democrat friends that are really big on choice. Do you think that's a choice or not? I would love to wear a mask if they're in risk. That's their choice. But I cannot force you because I'm just one person. But the government, if you don't do it, they get a fine. They lock you up. It's a violence against you. You have no choice. If they can force you to wear a mask, what else they cannot force you to do?
Exactly.
They can force you to have vaccination.
Oh, boy.
They can force you to put your kids...
Damn it. She was just getting wound up. And she was getting so wound up, I was about ready to go. You are nailing it, sister. You are absolutely nailing it. So let me try once more and see if I can get her, because we got about 10 more minutes before I got to wrap it up. And
I don't know whose phone stopped dying.
I don't. You were getting so wrapped up. I was on the edge of my chair listening to you. Okay, so folks, we're talking to LILY Tang Williams. We got about 10 more minutes before the end of the show. LILY Tang Williams, let's go back to early 2020. In that, I'd like to reference the coronavirus. And you made reference to it earlier in the first hour. We're learning that the Chinese communists have essentially been lying from the very beginning about the true nature of COVID-19. I maybe was not quite this specific, but I will be specific now. Can the United States believe what the Chinese government says about much of anything with regard to COVID-19?
Well, I was very frustrated. Some of our public health officials, including the main media, like CNN, ABC, they all always use the Chinese government official numbers.
Yep.
I keep telling them at the very beginning, don't believe those numbers. They were burning people's bodies every day, okay? And so in April, when they passed out those ash trees, you can tell their numbers were 10 times less. I never trust those numbers anyway because I watch Chinese TV in Mandarin language. I also listen to podcasts in Chinese. So I get all the lead information from underground channel, from inside the China. So I know. But I don't have an American, source sometimes to verify, prove them. So I just been warning people those numbers are not correct. But it seems like a lot of people in this country would rather use the Chinese official numbers instead of making enemy with China, because China has a huge market. Your Disneyland is there, and lots of companies doing business there.
Yep.
NBA wants to have their players games, so have sold lots of tickets.
Yep.
You have MC movies want to go there, Hollywood movies want to go there, and they will kowtow to those pressures. And they want to make money, do business. I understand that. You're a private company, you want to make a profit. But still, you have to ask yourself, if everybody does that to a totalitarian regime without the people's election and push security law onto Hong Kong, push the social credit system into Hong Kong also, not just on top of Chinese. They're building a firewall on internet now. It's going to block Hong Kong people to access truth. If you kowtow to that country, that regime, they will come after you. They will come after America. Look, they already did. Confucius Institute has been infiltrating into American educational system for past over 10 years. And all over the world. And people just start to realize, oh, those are not NGOs. They are government-funded cultural language institute, but actually is spreading their propaganda, trying to get the people in this country to be friendly with China.
Yep.
They don't want you to talk about their human rights abuses. So I think this virus has really waked up some people in this country. They don't trust them anymore.
Thank God. It's about time. Speaking of time, we got about 5 more minutes left, and luckily there's just enough time to fit in a couple more questions that, again, I wanted to make sure that I asked my guest tonight, LILY Tang Williams. President Trump has done any number of things, Lily, involving China that no president has ever dared to do before. Tariffs, trade agreements, imports, restrictions. So is one of my last questions is that the proper way to handle relations with China? Either be strong with China or China is going to steamroller and roller skate right over you? Is that, in other words, is that the proper tactic to take with China these days?
So President Trump and Secretary Pompeo and some, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and all those elected congressmen, senators, And they all have a team up, including some Democrats, Pelosi from another side. They all team up actually to take some tough sections against China, especially when it comes to support Hong Kong, democracy movement and young students. And now trying to open up the country to those freedom lovers from Hong Kong to come here seek political refugees, and to trying to offer incentive for our manufacturers to come back home or to go to even other countries without relying on China. Because when they control most of your antibiotic supplies, you need to think twice. Is this just a health issue or a security issue?
Yep.
So but I will urge President Trump to do even further more. He needs constantly, not just doing trade and talk about China, not trust them, but he also needs to appeal to lots of freedom lovers to challenge China and to condemn their human rights abuses more loudly, more clearly, to say we will maybe do business with you if you stop those human rights abuses. And sometimes I feel like he's kind of quiet on that. When the other congressmen actually in the front, like Marco Rubio is very good in the front, but of course Pompeo work with President Trump. So we're not to talk about economical, but we also have to talk about with the moral clarity, America will not support any human rights abuses in the world, period. We are the shining city on the hill for all the freedom lovers, and we're an exceptional country. No matter what China say about America, they constantly attack America, calling America the imperialist country. But look at what they're doing themselves all over the world. Belt and Road Initiative. It's basically cheap money to give to foreign government to buy their loyalty, to get into their infrastructure project, then take over their country, their port, as a future potential Chinese even military base. That they use their money. So I would agree with you. So far, President Trump is the toughest president against China, against CCP. I applaud him for that.
That's huge. The Silk Road Initiative is a topic that I could do an entire hour on just in and of itself, and it's something that so few Americans, much less anybody else, knows about. We've run out of our time, but I do want to say this. LILY Tang Williams, thank you ever so kindly for staying up late. You get a book, and I will promote the hell out of it. It will be my absolute pleasure to do that. I'd like to have you back, depending upon what happens with China, because I think some other things with China are coming. So, LILY Tang Williams, thank you again for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and for everybody here. They've all appreciated and love to hear what you say, and I always appreciate your time and your insight. You have an open invitation to return to the Saloon anytime you want. So, LILY Tang Williams, again, thank you very much. Take care.
Well, thank you. Have a good night, and keep fighting, keep educating people. And later, your viewers, if they want to check me out, Lily for Liberty. I have a Twitter, also Lily for Liberty with a Twitter number. So they can share my stories, because I'm pretty active. I post every day. I educate people on China all the time, and Hong Kong, and Taiwan. So hopefully they can, find more information from there.
LilyForLiberty.com? Is it .com?
No, it's Lily for Liberty. It's my public Facebook page.
Okay.
I have 18,000 followers there.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And the people can ask me questions. And because of that, because I want to tell you, because of that, my page, I was targeted by Chinese 50 Cent Army, paid internet trolls to attack me, threaten me. I had to cancel my trip to back home last year because they threatened me. So now I guess I need more protection. Maybe I should run for office again. And when, then I can get more protection.
You do that, and you got at least an immediate $100 from me immediately.
Thank you. Thanks for your team to help us, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Lily. God bless. Take care, and good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Lily for Liberty. You can't write a story like that. And if you're not listening, and I'm afraid altogether way too many Americans are not listening, this is a binary election in November. I didn't get to any of the other stuff that I was desperate to get to tonight, but I'll tell you what, for everyone to hear what Lily said, it is obviously worth it. I'll be back next week. Oh, my God. At the rate that we're going in the United States, you and I both know that some really demented crap is going to happen between now and when I'm back on Tuesday night. So, folks, I got to say,
Monsieur has unlocked.
folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Berserk Bobcat Saloon tonight, live and direct from the SHR Media Network studios, where I was broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. Always spell it with a K. You want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter. I'm always active there at BZEP, at BZEP, at BZEP. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by Pratt & Whitney Engines. Thrust. You can trust. And thanks, obviously, again, continuing, to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I shall be consorting in less than an hour. Bank on that one, baby. Thanks to LILY Tang Williams for being here for the entire 2-hour show. Thanks to everybody in chat. Thanks for listening and watching in Facebook, watching on YouTube, and just listening at shrmedia.com. Everybody have a great weekend. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? All of you, God bless, take care, be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.